One day, somebody's going to do a comprehensive study on the psychosexual aspect of MAGA and how we got to a point where a guy like Trump, who's got insecurity written all over him, he became the leader for a group of disaffected, socially awkward men, right? A Freudian can have a field day with this group, man, let me tell you. So there's been a bunch of examples recently. I got to share this with you guys. They keep calling him daddy. They keep calling Trump daddy. I wish I was kidding. I'm not. I'm dead serious. Here's one example for you. This is Mel Gibson. He was on Fox News. Listen to what he said.
They're a good bunch out here. I'm glad Trump's here at the moment. It's like daddy arrived and he's taking his belt off,
First of all, that's the first and last and only time I've ever heard anybody reference a scenario like that as a positive thing. Oh, isn't it great when daddy shows up and takes his belt off and whoops his kid's ass? Probably because the dad is alcoholic and underachieved in his life and is miserable and is angry and he's taking it out on his kids and abusing them. Like, thank God. Thank God somebody's here to do child abuse, y'all. Everybody relax. The child abuser is here. Good stuff, right? Don't we all support that? That's good, right? Daddy's home and he's taken off the belt. Again, a Freudian can have a fucking field day. Now, I didn't bother to pull up all the different examples, but as Mehdi Hassan points out here, Tucker Carlson said the same thing, called Trump daddy. Byron Donalds said the same thing, calling Trump daddy. What kind of daddy issues do they all have that they're obsessed with referring to Trump as daddy? Look, they have a very serious problem in the MAGA movement of beta boys. I know the stereotype is quite the opposite, that, it's the Democrats and their followers and they're not leaders and they're not alpha and they don't believe in like traditional masculinity roles. Well, let me ask you, even if you believe in such a framework of traditional masculinity, how the fuck do grown men calling another grown man daddy, how does that fit in to the framework and the paradigm of traditional masculinity? But the beta-ness goes beyond just calling him daddy. And you all know that. Everybody knows that, right? I have a great example of it here for you. So Ted Cruz, remember, this is the guy who he ran against Trump in 2016. And he came in second. He did better against Trump than anybody else on the Republican side. And Trump routinely, disgustingly took low blow attacks against Ted Cruz's dad and Ted Cruz's wife. With his dad, he accused him of killing JFK. Remember, Trump had links to all those smutty tabloid magazines. He got them to run a story saying Ted Cruz's dad killed JFK. What? Trump also very famously basically said, Ted, I wouldn't even fuck your wife. She's ugly. It was, I don't know if you remember it, but there was a tweet. You saw Melania in a picture next to Ted's wife, and it said something like, I wouldn't spill the beans on her, talking about Ted Cruz's wife. And that was when we got that famous moment where Ted Cruz said, Don, you little sniveling coward, leave my wife out of this. He said something to that effect. Cut to, Trump gets the nomination. Ted Cruz said, vote your conscience at the RNC, but then all of his donors called him and said, bitch, you better fall in line. There's Ted Cruz making phone calls with a little weasel face for Trump, phone banking for Trump. Me, okay, vote for him, me. He cucked me and shit on my wife and shit on my dad, but vote for him, me. I'm Ted Cruz, me. So ready for this? Now, Trump, as you all know, said nothing about Greenland or Panama during the race. Nothing. Why? Because he knows it's not popular. 9% of the country supports this warmongering we're doing with Panama and Greenland. 9%. But Ted Cruz, the servile little beta boy that he is, he decides to talk about this issue, and listen to what he says.
Greenland, on the other hand, I think is a very serious policy proposal.
Very serious policy proposal to steal Greenland for his billionaire backer Peter Thiel, very serious, to give to steal literal entire countries for robber barons. This is like above and beyond classic imperialism. This is like imperialism 2.0. Directly stealing it for his billionaire backer.
I'll tell you, I had a conversation this week with the Danish ambassador to the United States. And look, Denmark's a little freaked out by all this conversation. And I'll tell you what I told the ambassador. I said, listen, Denmark is our friend. You are our ally. You will continue to be our friend and ally. But friends and allies can have conversation. And the ambassador said, well, Greenland's not for sale. I said, that's fine. Everything's for sale. We're going to have a conversation. And by the way, if you maintain that, one of the things this has produced is a growing independence movement in Greenland.
Totally.
And if you do nothing, you may end up getting nothing for Greenland because they break off on their own.
Totally.
Right.
I find it quite plausible that the Greenlanders, about 50,000 of them, would say, wait a second, I get to be an American?
Their poll just showed positive results. They just did a survey there.
To become an American is in many ways the greatest gift we can give anyone on planet Earth.
By the way, that's not true. Of course, the people of Greenland are completely against it. And if you want to talk about having people become states or part of the U.S., how about Puerto Rico, which is a U.S. territory? How about that? Have you considered that? Or making D.C. a state? How about that? Nope. Skip right over those. Go right to Greenland. Lie, saying they like it. And he was like, oh, that's great. Everything's for sale. Greenland is not for sale. Wrong. Everything's for sale. Ted Cruz said nothing about Greenland just a few months ago. Believed nothing about, having Greenland part of the U.S. Never thought about it, never cared about it, never considered it, never came to his mind. Never. Now, Trump farts it out one day, right? He's like, oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I am totally with you. I've always said that about Greenland. Greenland should totally be part of the U.S. Me, I'm Ted Cruz, me. And I'll call the ambassador. I was talking tough to the ambassador and saying, Daddy Trump is right. And you better make a deal with us because we're going to come take you. Beta behavior. Beta. If Kamala Harris won the election, and let's say she started talking about, you know what? The Bahamas is really close to us geographically. We want it. We're going to take it. Not in a million years would I go out there and be, that's a great point. I spoke to the ambassador of the Bahamas and said, you might want to be independent, but you get a lot of benefits by joining us, so Kamala's right. Not in a million years would I sink to that level. Why? Because I actually believe in shit. I actually have principles and convictions and policy ideas and a philosophy that undergirds it. But these people believe in nothing. They believe in... Ted Cruz is a bitch to the donor class, and now he's added to that list. I'm a bitch to Donald J. Trump. Whatever the fuck he says, whatever he wants to do, whatever he vomits out, whatever he impulsively regurgitates on any given day, I'm right there to defend it. The right has a genuine and sincere beta problem. Literally all of them are followers. Let me ask you a question. Do you think all the elected Republican politicians in Washington, D.C., they saw Trump pardon 1,500 January 6 rioters and insurrectionists, 45% of which were violent and committed a felony. 140 officers were assaulted that day, including one officer got a stun gun to his neck. One of the criminals was wearing a Camp Auschwitz shirt. One of the people, not only a violent criminal, a Fredophile who was released by Trump, right? Do you think all of them are... Yes, I am principally in favor of releasing cop assaulters and Fredophiles. Do you think they actually believe that? No, every single one of them wanted Trump to go through it with a fine-tooth comb, go on a case-by-case basis. Hey, the nonviolent ones you can release, the violent ones definitely don't release. They all said beforehand, he's not going to just bulk release them. He's going to go through it, and the violent ones will stay behind bars, and the other ones won't. This is what they thought. Then he comes in like a fucking wrecking ball, releases all of them, including violent criminals and Fredophiles. Virtually none of them have spoken out against it. There's a handful. There's maybe like 2 or 3. That's it. The rest of them, mum's the word, or they got to go out there and defend it. Like the little servile, sycophantic beta bitches they are. And that's what you're seeing here with Ted Cruz. You got countless Republicans calling Trump daddy, and you have Trump coming up with preposterous ideas that he didn't even run on, and they're all right there, vying to... I'm actually the most in favor of stealing Greenland because Donald Trump thought about it, and I love Donald Trump. I'm Ted Cruz. Me. Look at this little bulbous, pudgy weasel meat sack. Look at his little bulbous body. And also, by the way, I love the, the rogue, independent-minded podcast sphere, the All In podcast. He's sitting with that Chamath guy and the other dude, and they're all, yeah, stealing Greenland. We're independent free thinkers, and we're anti-establishment, bro, totally, bro. Let's steal Greenland because Trump came up with it, and he wants to give it to Peter Thiel, the robber baron billionaire. We support that because we're, like, independent thinkers and stuff, bro. We're anti-establishment, bro. The whole lot of them, bro. The whole lot of them are fucking useless. They're all useless, pathetic followers. Every last one of them. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.